Hi, I'm Dr. Victoria Sorvati with the Nathaniel Foundation. I'm here to talk to you today about the Hebraic understanding of Jesus in that first century context. This is Candid Treasures, and this is a series on why the first century. Well, I want to talk to you today about culture and traditions. The culture of Jesus is not the culture of our Western society here in America or the Western society of Europe. It doesn't even compare in of course what's going on with our technology. You got to remember, back in those days, nobody had a recording device to record, or even a pencil and paper to write down notes. Everything was memorized, and the Bible is memorized in such a way that it has a cadence to it. And the Jewish people had a technique and a rhythm when they remembered the scripture. In fact, one of the things that they did that was different than our understanding is whenever a group of men would come into a minyan, which was at least 10 to come and study the Torah, many times when they would pray, the leader of the minyan would begin with a certain scripture in a certain verse, the beginning of a verse in a chapter. For instance, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He may start out with that one verse, and then the rest of the minyan would begin to daven and murmur the rest of that chapter on their own, but in unison together. And then at the end, when they come to the last verse, the leader would say, "And surely grace and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever." He would conclude with that very last verse. Well, if we understand what Yeshua was doing on the cross when he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" This tradition of starting a particular chapter by saying the very first verse is exactly what he was doing. It wasn't that he felt God's absence, because he is God incarnate. What he felt was that he was actually fulfilling all of Psalm 22. Go back and read it. It talks about how his bones are out of joint and his tongue is stuck to the roof of his mouth, that he thirsts, that the dogs are licking his wounds, that they are gambling for his garments below, that his hands are pierced and his feet are pierced. You're seeing the picture of what was on the cross when he says the very first words of Psalm 22. Those beneath him, those followers, were actually murmuring and davening and saying the words that they were actually seeing as this scripture was being fulfilled. And then at the very end, when he says it is finished, in Hebrew, a better translation in English would be, God has done this. It has finished. It has been performed. And that's exactly what he said on the cross. So he actually did a very traditional and cultural thing at the time of his death by fulfilling all of Psalm 22, while others looked upon and watched it be fulfilled. God bless and shalom.